welcome everybody. I'm so glad you found my channel, and I'm glad that you're here to take advantage of the free classes that I offer. So the classes that are offered in the Soul Flex and the Hatha Yoga classes are from live classes. So there may be times when I'm demonstrating the posture or the movement, the exercise, and then I stop and I'm looking at the camera, and that's because I'm looking at my students. So if you'd like to join the live classes, just put it in the comments or send me an email, just let me know. Be more than happy to have you. It's a wonderful community of people. But other than that, just enjoy the free recordings, enjoy the workouts and the yoga practices. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear about it. Thank you so much. So we do our asana practices, and then we're able to sit. Hopefully. Right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Great. So there's 4 paths of yoga. And most of us practice a lot of these every day, right? So they're not, we think of it as asana practice. It's not just the asana, the postures, or just the breath work. There's so much to yoga. It's an endless study, right? First, an endless study just with ourselves, getting to know ourselves because we're constantly changing. But then the study of the ancient texts are out there for us to study also. So the 4 paths of yoga, there's 3 mental impurities leading to avidya, and avidya is the source of all of our suffering. It's avidya means ignorance or unknowing, misconception, right? We don't know what we don't know, right? We're walking along in a trail and we think it's a snake in the center of the trail. You may have all heard this before. And we get we're scared and we're fearful. It's like, oh my gosh, a snake, it might bite me, etc., etc. We get a little closer and it's really just a stick. I personally had that experience too, which I thought was really funny. I was laughing at myself. But that's a misperception, right? There's an ignorance there. It's a not knowing. So there's 3 mental impurities leading to avidya. The first one is mala, selfishness or ego-centered thinking. We think that we are the end all. You know, it's all about us. Nobody else matters. I got mine. I don't know if you're going to get yours. You got to figure that out. Not my problem. Right? There's a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
We see it all the time. So this selfishness or ego-centered thinking is a form of suffering. It's avidya. It's a misconception. It's a cluelessness to the vastness of what's going on for real. Vikshepa, which is a restless, outward-focused monkey mind. We're always looking, right? Our senses can help us and our senses harm us all the time. They're always looking for the next shiny object, the best tasting food, what to hear, you know, listening to that, watching that, want to feel that, need to be touched all the time, sexual partners, whatever it is. We're constantly looking for the next shiny object. We can't just sit and settle with what we have and be content. I mean, we can, but this is, you know, the mental impurities that lead to avidya. And that's why yoga is so wonderful, because it helps us to realize when these things are happening and shift away from that. Realize that there's an ignorance happening and then do something about it, right? And avavana, the layers of ignorance obscuring our true self. I am this, I am yoga therapist, Ayurvedic practitioner, I do this, I do that, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm, you know, all these things, a wife. I'm all these things. Yeah, we're all these things. We're caretakers, we're doing all these things. A pet mama, But what's underneath all that? If I identify too much with any of those things of like, I am this, and then all of a sudden, I can't talk anymore. So I can't teach. Who am I now? Oh my gosh, my life is over. You know, or that's just, you know, an example, like to give you an idea, apply it to yourselves with however you're over identifying possibly with your source of self. I'm a caretaker. I'm a, you know, I'm an Ayurvedic body practitioner, right? Things change, things happen in our lives, and then we can't do that anymore. Or something happens, right? And now who are we? And people get very lost by all that. So the 4 paths of yoga, yoga means union or yoking, right? We're connecting. We're connecting. What are we connecting with? I mean, we could yoga with something that's not helpful to us. We can connect and yoke and unite ourselves with something that's not helpful. However, yoga is we want to connect with what's helping us. And there's 4 paths of it. So the first one is jnana yoga, which is what we're doing right now. Jnana yoga is the yoga of knowledge or study. And it's the yoga philosophy, it's the ancient texts, it's the studying of yoga to attain the self-knowledge through the study and practice. And the more you read and learn all this, it's like, oh my gosh, yes, there's words actually to like yoga, it's the original psychology too, like the Yoga Sutras. It's astounding what it says, and the knowledge and wisdom that these people had thousands of years ago. The insights, they didn't have all the distractions. They had other distractions, like, am I going to have food and wars and all the other stuff? But they didn't have as much as we have now, I would argue, with our electricity and technology and being totally disconnected from nature. You know, our circadian rhythms, the nature of things. We can be up all night if we want. So jnana yoga is the yoga of knowledge and studying, the studying of the ancient texts. And maybe this is interesting to you. Maybe that's why you're here. And maybe you're like, yeah, I totally don't even care. And that's fine too. There's other ways to the mountaintop. There's not just one way to the mountaintop, which is just so beautiful, right?
Right.
So then bhakti yoga. Are there any questions? Just feel free to chime in here if you want. Okay. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion. So it's the love of the word God is a loaded word, I just have to say. So, you know, there's a lot of religious trauma in the world. And in our culture, I don't know, because I live here in America, it's like there's a lot in our culture, right? But it's everywhere, lots of religious trauma. So if you've never had religious trauma, good for you. But if you have, just the word God is, it's such a label. You know, what this is talking about is, I'm actually going to change this flyer because I feel like the word divine or observer is much more inclusive. It's all.
Yeah.
Free religion, you know.
I'd agree.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Yeah. So think of this, just ignore that word. I'm going to change it. And think of if that word works for you, go ahead and go there. It doesn't for a lot of people. And even if it works for you, I'd invite you to question whether it's all inclusive. So does God mean everybody and all? Or is it only the one way to the mountaintop? Because that's a whole different thing, right? A whole different thing. So bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion. You're just constantly praising the divine. You're maybe chanting and singing and always seeing the divine in the hummingbirds and the flowers and the beautiful sunrises and in your fellow human beings. And
Oh, how? Even
None
in
of
driving? Even in driving? Okay.
all the time. But, you know, you could practice. I mean, we're not studying all the time. We're not, maybe, you know, maybe some people have that pathway, right? You see people, they're just blissed out and singing, chanting and worshiping, and that's beautiful. Or maybe you do it for a little bit. Maybe you do it, you know, here and there. Maybe you study for a little bit. You're not spending 7 hours a day studying the ancient texts, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot. So little bit. So it doesn't have to be all the time. It weaves, right? We could do a little bit of this. Now I'm practicing bhakti yoga. We're chanting. I'm fully connected to the divine and I see it in everybody. And then you're driving and you're like, yeah, I don't see it in everybody right now. This isn't happening. To your point.
Done.
Yes.
It's like, whoops, I lost that.
Yeah.
I fell off the path.
Let's get back on.
Yeah. Or you watch the news and you're like, yeah, I'm not quite feeling the bhakti right now. You know, it's like, wow. Or you're watching the news and you're like, wow, what a show. I still see the light within everybody. Karma yoga is the yoga of service and action. So you're helping somebody. Maybe you're a caretaker. You're helping an animal. Maybe you open a door for somebody. Mother Teresa would be like a, you know, an example. Lots of service. And I'm assuming lots of bhakti also. You know, without knowing what was going on in her mind. Does that make sense? And karma, you know, karma is thrown around so, oh, bad karma, you know. You hear people say that all the time. And, you know,
Right.
yoga philosophy tells us that, you know, whether you believe this or not, we're talking yoga philosophy. So yoga philosophy is believes in reincarnation. So we do things in one life, we come back into this life, and, you know, maybe we're cleaning up that karma. We're cleaning up what we have, the harm we've caused in our past lives, or the harm we caused yesterday. Right? That's, you know, if you don't buy the reincarnation thing, that's totally fine. But what did you do earlier today or yesterday or earlier in the week? How did you treat others? How did you treat your pets? How did you treat nature? You know, it's something to think about. They're all hard. I think they're all hard. When you really start looking, it's like, oh wow, I could do better, you know. So what do? We clean up our messes. We make amends. We clean up things. I apologize, you know, for getting snappy or whatever, right? Causing harm, for bringing harm to others. So thinking just right now, think for yourself. Right now you're doing jnana yoga, right? You're studying the ancient texts. You're studying yoga philosophy. And maybe it's not jnana yoga. Maybe you're connected to, I mean, this is all yoga, but maybe you're a scientist or an artist and you're just diving in and really learning everything about that, or gardener, you know, learning everything about the plants, learning everything about a form of art. That's a form of yoga too. You're becoming yoked with that object. You're diving in. So what do we want to connect with? What do we want to yoke with, right? You don't want an abusive partner. You don't want to eat junk food all the time.
Yes, I do. What are you, crazy? I'm just kidding.
Only at nights. Only at nights. Not
Yeah.
during the day.
Only went in the cloak of darkness.
We could talk about that later if you'd like. You're
Just
so
kidding.
funny. I know. That's funny. So thinking about this, like, you know, what are you yogaing with for your knowledge or your study, right? What about for devotion? Does this resonate with you? Or does the karma yoga resonate with you? Thinking about a time,
Oh.
what you do in your life where you're practicing karma yoga. And then the Raja Yoga, the royal path. So this is what was taught to the kings. And this is what, I mean, we practice Hatha yoga with our movement and breath and the eight limbs, which we'll be studying. But this is, to me, it right now, I mean, I like to practice all of it. So I practice Raja yoga personally, right? I like to study the texts. I like to chant and worship the divine, or be in nature. That's my church. You know, I be in nature and I just watch the bees collect the pollen. And I'm in wonder and awe. That's my bhakti yoga, besides chanting. And then karma yoga. What are we doing for all of these, right? And you don't have to do all of them. Maybe one is like, that's not my thing. And that's fine. There's other ways to practice yoga. So the Raja Yoga is all of it. It's the royal path of yoga, or the 8-step path. It's a self-discipline. You're practicing the asana, the pranayama, the meditation, the different forms of the eight limbs of yoga, which we'll be getting into. And that's a lot, right? That's a lot right there. But again, it's practice. It's called practice for a reason. None of us are perfect. And if you do go with the reincarnation route, you know, yoga philosophy tells us it's over 1 million lifetimes. So we don't have to worry about it, you know, before we get liberated. That's a lot of lifetimes, you know. Who knows where we are along the path? It really doesn't matter. It's like, you could debate it all you want. That's what the philosophy says. However, if you don't believe it, it doesn't matter, because what are you doing right now with this life? That's what matters. What are we doing right now in this life to create no harm, to be truthful, to live the eight-step path, which is what we're going to be starting next month, the 8 limbs of yoga. So any thoughts on any of that?
Stephanie, I'm not, I see you, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't see myself anywhere, so I don't know if you could, I don't know if I'm represented anywhere.
You are.
Okay.
You are.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Well, I was interested to see that the movement yoga that we are, you know, that's what we're all most familiar with, most likely, is not represented in those first 3. And so it's not a category by itself. The physical, I guess, the physical
Asana.
excellence, or if you were, you know, if you were pursuing one of these goals, like excellence in knowledge, excellence in devotion, you know,
Yeah.
in service, there's not a category that is, you know, in another vernacular, like the physical, like the, you know, the supreme athlete in our, you know, in our culture, the person who focuses, whose life's focus is
Yeah.
through the physical achievement. But I don't see that. And so I was interested that that's the only part I really know about yoga, is the movement part.
Yeah, Linda, most people, I mean, where I learned all this, that's what I knew. That's what brought me to yoga. I'm like, oh, I like the movement and the breath. That feels good. I feel good afterwards.
Right.
That's the gateway. And then you start going deeper into your practice and you're like, oh, whoa, 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 this is super cool. That's how I felt, at least, and still do. It just keeps unfolding. But to answer your question, that's a good question. That'd be down in the royal path, the Raja Yoga. That's where asana, pranayama.
So asana is what you call the movement we do, correct?
Asana is postures.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Okay. Explain the yana.
Jnana.
Yeah.
Jnana yoga is what we're doing right now. We're studying about yoga.
Okay. Okay.
We're studying, we're getting started on the path of studying yoga.
Got
So
it.
this is just like a foundation, like it's not just what we're doing in the studio, right? We're not just moving and breathing and then that's yoga.
And done. Right.
4 paths of yoga, of yoking
Mm-hmm.
with the observer, yoking with the divine, yoking with that self, with the capital S inside us.
Right. Okay.
These are all paths to do that. You know, and you do a little bit of this and you do a little bit of that. So the next, I want to share the other graphic with you. Can you see this different one? Is that working?
Not yet.
You don't see that?
Mm-mm.
I think I have to stop share. It's kind of picky that way. I've got to stop share and then reshare. So
And then go back. Yeah.
here we go. Does that work?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm part Irish, so I loved this Celtic knot. And it totally defines, because it's not, I only practice karma yoga. We're not
Right.
rigid beings, right? It's like, so I will never ever chant, and I will never study any yoga, and I will never move my body and breathe and practice that kind of yoga. I mean, maybe there's somebody like that, but it's kind of hard to imagine. So it's like it's a constant flow, right? But they all lead to the center, the light in the center of the chest, the heart lotus, right? The heart mind. All of these paths, the karma yoga, maybe, you know, we help somebody, our loved one, with something they're trying to get done, a phone call or a whatever, right? A project. Or we take care of our kitties, doggies. And
Humans.
then the next moment we're, you know, chanting, or we're singing, or we're just watching it in nature and watching the hummingbirds again. They are just out there in forest today. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sit and we study after we've moved in Raja Yoga, and we just did our Hatha yoga, right? We just did our Hatha, and traditionally that's the way it is. It's like you move, you do your asana, and then you can sit and study. And if you think about it, a long time ago, it's like you had 12-year-old boys, you know? It's like, okay, let's burn off some of that energy so that they can sit and focus. And then we will teach them what they need to know, right? But I find it's very helpful anyway, just, you know, it prepares the body to sit, it prepares the mind to receive, because you're in a sattvic place, hopefully, if it was the correct practice for you today.
Right.
You feel spacious and content. You're not rigid and judgmental and lethargic and everything else, right? Hopefully the mind can focus, or distracted or overwhelmed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So all the paths lead to the self.
It is. It's preparation, isn't it? When we do it, I love this. One of the reasons I love this class is because it's in the earlier in the day, and so I know not only do we feel awake, I mean, you feel the circulation increasing in your body, you feel the energy, but you also have a chance to set your mind in an attitude that you would like to have. I love that you talked about having a word, you know, that you breathe in and out, something you want to be part, an idea you want to overlay over whatever you're doing in the day.
Yeah.
Like curiosity or positivity or joy or appreciation or whatever word you might choose. And so I don't know if I could do that without the physical movement. If I could incorporate it in the same way that we do when we're moving and breathing for an hour,
Right.
and reflecting on that
It's magical. Yeah, it's magical.
Well, I think the movement, um, you can hear me?
Yes.
I think the movement, like for me, but I think for probably for everybody, is like it really helps to come into the present moment. Whereas, like when we're sitting and the mind goes oof, where the mind goes, but the movement really like anchors in
Focuses.
that presence.
Right. Anchors it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, you can't move to the breath if you're distracted. You're getting to the bottom of the movement and you're still breathing, and then like it's not synced up.
Right.
You know, like if you go out for a walk, you may be thinking about all kinds of things. But you can use those tools to your point, Linda, that of anytime you want, right? If I don't say it in class, bring in those qualities, pick your words. And you can do it going for walks. I do it all the time, right? It's a mantra. It's mind protection. If I notice I'm going down rabbit holes, it's like, oh, no, 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 let's not do that. Like that's not helpful to a sense of well-being. So it's like, let's focus on, you know, whatever the words are I want to bring in. Whatever mantra is mind protection.
Hmm.
That's what it means.
That's so
And they knew this thousands of years ago. Come on.
I know. Mind protection. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's all about the mind, right? We can
Yeah.
go through hardship, but do we need to suffer? Suffering is optional.
What a
Isn't it?
beautiful thought.
Isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's why it's a practice,
Yeah.
because it's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts? Little half-hour tidbit. I can send these files if you want, if you're interested in the graphics.
We like them.
Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
like them too.
Okay, I'll send a PDF.
Awesome.
So when is the next discussion? It's not every Wednesday, right? It's like once a
No.
month.
Yeah, it's once a month. So the next one will be, let me look at my calendar.
And,
The next one will be the 16th, April 16th.
Okay.
So
Is that-
Tanaz
I'm
has,
at the studio then, right? April 16th.
no, it's in
No.
between. It's
Oh,
in
good.
between.
I can
Yeah, I plan it
participate.
around. I can't, I don't, yeah, cross paths for this. But Tanaz is in the studio next week on Wednesday and has 1 or 2 openings if you're interested.
Okay.
So let me know. I'll send out an email to Tanaz to people.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
16.
It's a bummer though. Every time there's an opening, it's like when I'm teaching, so I'm like, somebody grab that other spot that I was looking at. I should have grabbed it first.
You always wait last.
I always wait last. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
let's see.
Is that like the mom who always serves herself last?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I do my own abhyanga every day, but it's just totally different receiving.
Totally different. Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Can't quite do it like Tanaz does it.
No.
But-
No.
Thank you.
Nope.
All right. Have a beautiful
Right.
day, everybody.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
It was great.
Bye.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, there's so much more. All right.
I
All
see
right.
your shirt logo looks like the hands that we did today.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Very good.
Have a beautiful day.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.